Mahomes versus Josh Allen. So
I know. And
splitting
speaking of the
hairs.
matchup, they already played against each other earlier this year, where the Bills actually got away with one, 30-21. It was an awesome game. Josh Allen had that game-wrecking play on 4th and 2 to end the game, essentially, and put it on ice. So I think the Chiefs definitely have this one circled as a revenge game for that, but we've seen the Bills do it. And so you can make two separate talking points. A lot of people are going in with the narrative of, hey, Chiefs revenge game, what happened to them in the regular season. They flip the script. They get them at home now. And then you also have the other narrative where, hey, Josh Allen and the Bills have done this once before. What's going to stop them from doing it again? Especially against a Chiefs team that's seemingly lesser of themselves than what we've seen out of the past, 3 or 4 years under the Mahomes and Andy scheme. So that's kind of a big talking point that I want to push to is there's two different narratives that I'm hearing gain traction. And so you could make the case and point for both of them. But to your point, BJ, we're in the part of the year where you got to play your game. There's only it's preparation. Every team has injuries. Of course, the matchup advantage goes to the team that probably has less injuries at the end of the day. But it's going to be war of attrition and a game of preparation. And so I think both teams have the coaching staff to do that. So I'm sure we're going to be nothing short of excitement, of fireworks in this game. But I just thought that was interesting. The playoff, the whole aura of that is just different. And when we talk about these regular season games, we can break it down. And even when we talk about the stats from a statistical perspective, I have stats from that were yielded based off of the games throughout all of 2024. But what about the past 3 games? Doesn't that carry as much weight as just what they did at the beginning of the year? Sure, I have that pulled up too. So there's a level of discernment that we really have to take into this game that I think is really exciting because, from the last time that these two teams played to now, what's changed? What's the same? How does that play a role? And so we talk about that. The first thing that I already mentioned was home field advantage, matchup nod to the Chiefs. So the Chiefs have home field advantage at this point. And we see that the opening line is Chiefs -1.5. The point total is around 47.5. It's climbing up to -2 for the Chiefs. To be honest with you, I think that's home field advantage. The model projection has Chiefs 22.5, Bills 20. So relatively surprised by the little bit lower projection for the game total in general, but I could absolutely see it, especially the way that these two teams are going to play each other. So I want to talk about these two matchup comparisons, both offense versus defense versus offense for these two teams. But it's Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, right?
Right.
I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And so when you look at the way that these two players are playing the game right now, I mean, I think you have to say Josh Allen's playing a better, he's playing at his best compared to Patrick Mahomes. I think you could argue that he's obviously not playing at his best, at least to what we've seen in the past. So,
which
would
is
you
not
agree?
necessarily.
Disagree?
I would agree, which is not necessarily a fair statement to say, considering Patrick Mahomes might be the best quarterback of all time. To say that he's not playing at his best, he's still above. But yes, I would agree. This season, obviously, from the MVP narrative and everything, Josh Allen is absolutely balling out. And like I said at the beginning of the year, I'm pretty sure I said it here. It's Josh Allen literally carries his team. It's without Josh Allen, this team is not here right now. So, and Josh Allen does live up to his nickname of Superman. So I would agree that he's playing better, but damn, these are good quarterbacks,
Yeah.
And
great. And
yeah.
You're teeing up, or I was teeing up something too. Josh Allen, the winning formula for these teams feels like Josh Allen has to go Superman up, right? He has to ball out, and he has every single game. He has showed out with his arm, with his legs, with his poise, and his clutch plays. He has done that. But the winning formula for the Chiefs is they just follow their scheme, and it's really hard to deter them from their scheme. And I think that like the game plan for the Bills is how do you get them off balanced? How do you get them off their script, right? How do you deter them from everything like that? Because they followed the book really well. They followed their game plan. Nobody's really knocked them off their game plan yet, right? They have an offensive line that blocks extremely well. They have decent weapons, not great weapons, but Patrick Mahomes is not somebody that stretched the field like he used to because he doesn't have to. He had a lot of weapons that were injured throughout the year. But it doesn't matter. They can still follow their scheme, their script, do what they need to do. And the defense is what really helps them. And the defense has really come onto the scene as well because the defense is putting them in great positions to not have to do too much. And when you have that type of play, that's also really hard to beat. And you're talking about Patrick Mahomes, it's like the Eagles conundrum. You have Saquon Barkley, who is running the ball really, 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 really well, and it's a winning formula. If you can run the ball really well at will, why would you force your passing game to try and win yourself the game when your running game can do it already? Just because the running game is doing really well doesn't mean the passing game's there. And similarly for the Chiefs, just because the off script isn't there doesn't mean it's not capable of getting what it needs to be done. So it's an interesting talking point that I wanted to bring up. There's two very different style of plays in this year that we've seen from both teams that inevitably get them at the same exact point at the end of the games.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's really talk about. Yeah, it's really interesting. And I know we like to talk about the stats and everything here, but these teams, like, if you look at the stats across the season, like, nothing's going to blow you away. I mean, they just make winning plays. Sure. When I say winning plays, that's staying ahead of the sticks, getting first downs, long drives. Mm-hmm. Those are the winning plays, and both of these teams do that exceptionally well. And like, if you look at Josh Allen, like, there's plenty of people that have better stats than him this season, right? But he's going to win MVP probably. And that is because he makes winning plays. He makes the plays that matter. I mean, this game is going to come down to like 2 plays. The Ravens-Bills game came down to Mark Andrews dropping the 2-point conversion. Like, it's going to come down to like 1 or 2 plays. What makes the Chiefs so dangerous is they've got Xavier Worthy, Marquise Brown back. And, if they pepper to Kelsey, one big play could change the whole game. Mm-hmm. Like in the beginning 100%. Of the fourth quarter or something. So that's why, like, they just wait for their time to make those winning plays. And that's what these teams are so good at. And it's just, it doesn't show up a lot necessarily in the stat sheet, but that's what makes these teams different than everyone else.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, they don't really lead the league in anything. Neither of these teams do. If you look at the Buffalo offense, they do have a strong EPA rating per play on the offense side of the ball, 2nd overall in EPA per play, 9th overall in offensive success rate, and top 10 in both rushing and passing. But again, there's, if you go over to the Commanders offense, you're going to see 1s and 2s and 3s across the board, right? If you look at the Kansas City offense, same story here, 10th overall in EPA per play, 10th overall in success rate. And honestly, I thought those numbers were high for kind of the product that we were seeing on the field, all things considered. But on the defensive side of the ball, they look the same. Buffalo defense, 10th overall in EPA per play allowed, 15th overall in success rate. And I feel like the Buffalo defense, they started the year off really, really slow, let's call it. The past few games have been immensely better than what we have seen, but it's still not the strong Sean McDermott Bills defense that we've seen in the past. And so you can run on this Bills defense. It's a little bit tougher to throw the ball, but now you're looking at 2 injuries in the secondary that may open up the gates a little bit for those receivers, for Travis Kelce. So it's the Bills defense is a little bit of concern to me. And if you're them, one of the things you have to do is you have to generate pressure on Kansas City, and they actually have a really good line. I mean, dude, it's hard to get Mahomes off kilter a little bit, but I feel like that's going to be the central point of focus for this Bills defense is like, even though they can probably, like, I mean, Mahomes is one of the greatest to ever do it, even though he can do off-script plays, make him do it, Don't let him stick to the script and just run their script plays throughout the whole game, And then same story for the Chiefs defense. I mean, Bills offensive line has played phenomenal. They have allowed the least amount of quarterback pressures out of any team in the league this year, only allowing 3.8 QB pressures per play. Now, some of that, too, is also the playmaking ability from Josh Allen. He gets away from pressures better than anybody. But not to mention that the offensive line is still great, and they're running the ball really great. The Bills are. So that, I mean, we have a couple of different matchups that we can circle here. Then we can kind of say, hey, the game's probably going to come down to this, Mahomes versus the Bills secondary, Christian Benford's concussion, Taylor Rapp's hip injury. They might be out this game. Are they going to take advantage of that? Maybe. That's certainly probably going to be something that they try and scheme up. Josh Allen versus the Chiefs pass rush. I mean, Chiefs pass rush, Chris Jones is back. It's going to generate more pressures. Can Josh Allen deter that? Can the Bills offensive line deter that? Who knows? And there's going to be one of those matchups is going to be kind of the driving force of the deciding factor of this game. And It's going to be awesome because I think, as we've always seen it, it's always the fourth quarter. There's a set of plays that it always comes down to. And I really think we're going to get that again. But it's just the gift. Again, it's the gift that keeps on giving. So when you look at these matchups, in your opinion, who has the favorability here, Bidge?
I can speak for both. I can speak for both sides. I think I think that an important matchup is going to be Travis Kelce versus whoever they decide to line up across from him, whether it's a big cornerback or it's Milano or whoever it is. Kelce had a vintage Kelce game, 9 catches over 100 yards or something like that last game. And, that's his Mahomes' go-to guy. He really doesn't have anybody else to go to. Last game, he only completed a pass to 4 players, and only one was a wide receiver, and Xavier Worthy. So, I think Kelce's going to have a big game. I think they will win that matchup. Then on the other side of the field, when you talk about the Bills' offense against the Chiefs, you've got they throw the ball, nine different people will catch a ball, and it's Josh Allen seeing the field really well, and he can get it to anybody. Now, I will ask you a question here. We know the Bills have been suspect to the run, but the Chiefs bringing out Kareem Hunt and Pacheco after missing, most of the season, you think the Chiefs are going to be able to run the ball like other teams have against the Bills here? Because I don't really think so.
The thing is that they have, though, it's been a really, really gross product, but they have been leaning on it, and Kareem Hunt is averaging barely over 4 yards a carry, but it's a true 4 yards per carry. It's not weighted by, he had a 30-yard run and then a couple of 2-yard runs, and then it's averaging out to 4 or 5 yards per carry. Literally 4 yards a carry. Pacheco's still nursing that injury too. He's not right. His prop came out at 34 yards on the ground the other day, and I'm like, golly, any other day, man, I feel like this would be a smash, right? Mm-hmm. But the ground game's working, and again, statistically, it doesn't look great. I mean, they average 105 yards per game on the ground and 3.91 yards per carry as a team, but it works. Mm-hmm. It works, right? They're not looking for anything explosive. Yeah, they're not looking for anything explosive, in my opinion. I think they're just they're playing a different style of football, right? Everybody is trying to compare this team to the Chiefs team of the past. And I really don't think that's fair, all things considered, because it's not that team anymore. They don't have that makeup. That's not how they're winning games. And as frustrating as it feels sometimes, as much as I want to say, hey, this Chiefs offense just isn't as good, isn't explosive, when you look at how well-rounded their team is, I do think the matchup favorability is in their hands. They get it at home. Their trenches are really, really solid on both sides of the ball. Their defensive secondary is healthier on the Chiefs side of the ball compared to the Bills. And I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about 2 quarterbacks. As well as Josh Allen is playing, he is absolutely, undoubtedly the MVP in playing Superman football. But coming off of a Ravens win last week, against a Ravens team who turned the ball over multiple times at Buffalo in cold weather, and they still put up 25 and almost tied the game up. And I got to give the favorability here to the Chiefs. I'm going to ride with the model at 22.5 to 20 in favor of the Chiefs, man. As much as I want to take the Bills, and as much as I think that the Bills have the makeup to take the Chiefs off the map here, I just don't think they can get it done. I think the Chiefs, as painful as it is, I think they're the better makeup, the better team, and will inevitably win this game.
Yeah.
Tell me why the Bills win this game.
First, want to talk about the Ravens-Bills game one more time, or just touch on it. So the Ravens had three turnovers. The Ravens had 3 turnovers, okay? 1, just slipped out of Lamar's hand. 2, Lamar got a little bit of pressure and threw the ball to the receiver before he knew where the receiver was really going. Picked off, okay? I don't remember the other turnover. If the Ravens don't make those turnovers, is the game different?
It was Mark Andrews. He fumbled.
That's right. If they don't make those turnovers, is the game different? Yeah. Doesn't matter? No. Still won. And it's in the past.
Yeah. and to your point, man, it's like,
I'm not looking to the past, man. This was one game. This is the game the game that everybody wanted to see all season. And Mahomes is 3-0 against Josh Allen in the playoffs. And it's really hard to go undefeated against somebody in the playoffs. Josh Allen's going to win this game. Not even the Bills are going to win this game. Josh Allen's going to win this game. I really think that they're able to establish a run against this team, be able to just pick receivers out, make it all the way down the field, and let Superman run the ball in. I think the team that has the fewest turnovers is going to win this game.